One of my favorite items from the Zelda series has always been the Boomerang. You throw it, stun some enemies, and it comes right back. This will be the next item I implement in my open source Zelda-like game. To kick things off, I drew this Boomerang sprite that I'll be using, and for the sake of testing things out, I made a Boomerang object that the player can spawn in by using the item button. Right now it doesn't move around, but I made it constantly rotating. I next wanted to make it so the player could throw it in a straight line. This is pretty easy. I simply check what direction the player is facing when the item button is pressed, and pass that same direction to the Boomerang. Of course though, the most important aspect of the Boomerang is that it returns back to the player. If you look at a game like A Link to the Past's Boomerang, there are two simple states. The first state is when it flies in a straight line away from the player, and the second state is when it follows the player, always moving towards Link until it makes a complete return. So I have state 1 ready to go. All that needs to happen is make it return back. To start, I'll give the Boomerang a timer, and once this timer reaches 0, we'll switch over to state 2. Now in this state, we don't have a static straight line direction like state number 1. Instead, the Boomerang needs to be constantly updating its direction property to face the player. This needs to happen because the player might be moving around at any given time, and we need to make sure the direction is always accurate. Getting this direction is actually pretty easy. We can create a vector where the x value is the difference of the x coordinates, and the y value is the difference of the y coordinates. For context, a vector is just an object that has both a direction and a length, and the direction of this particular vector points from the Boomerang to the player. And when we apply this vector to the Boomerang and recalculate its direction every frame, it will always follow the player no matter where they go. This is a great start. It already behaves a lot like the Boomerang from Link to the Past. However, I think this setup feels a bit stiff. It might look a bit nicer if we added some acceleration to the Boomerang's movement. Currently, the speed of the Boomerang is constant, and the transition between the two states is very sharp. I think it would be cool if the Boomerang decelerated while moving away from the player, and it accelerated while it was returning back. This would mean the speed of the Boomerang starts off really fast, but is constantly slowing down until it reaches 0. And at that point, it changes to state 2, where it starts following the player while also increasing its speed over time. So I got rid of the timer altogether, state 1 decreases speed and state 2 increases speed. And now the Boomerang looks so much more fluid and natural. It doesn't have that jarring switch from away to return like it previously had. It's not done yet though. Right now, if I throw the Boomerang at any wall or object, it just goes straight through. I'd like to have it so the Boomerang bounces off and immediately starts returning back if that happens. At first, I made it so it simply goes to the return state on collision, but it looked really weird with the speed being reset like this. So instead, I made it so the speed carries over to state 2, so the faster the collision, the faster the return. And I like how this looks a lot. I think the Boomerang is in a great place right now. I still think I want to add some sound effects and particles on collision, but for now I'm pretty satisfied. As a reminder, this game is completely open source, so check the link in the description to visit the repo on GitHub. And if you enjoyed, please like the video, that helps out a lot. If you would like to see more, I post regular updates and other game development content, so feel free to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.